Φίλες και φίλοι, Χριστός Ανέστη, χρόνια πολλά. Ελπίζω να περάσετε όμορφα τις διακοπές του Πάσχα, να μην κάνατε προσπάθειες να παραβείτε τα μέτρα. Είμαι σίγουρη ότι είστε πάρα πολύ προσεκτικοί. Εγώ θα το λέω πάντα. Σας καλωσορίζω και σήμερα στην διάλεξη αυτή, την οποία θα μας κάνει ο κύριος Rahim Shamji, ο οποίος είναι ένας εξαιρετικός διεθνούς φήμης διαμεσολαβητής και θα σας δώσω στοιχεία του βιογραφικού του στη συνέχεια. Rahim, thank you very much again for being today with us and for having accepted the invitation. We expect a lot from you. As you have seen, we need assistance but believe me, it is the first time we have such technical problems. But anyhow, we still need to be trained more. So you allow me to continue in Greek and I will come back to English when presenting you. Λοιπόν, ήθελα να ευχαριστήσω όλους και όλες που είστε και σήμερα μαζί μας σε αυτό το δευτεριάτικο απόγευμα, που πλέον ακόμα και αυτή την ώρα είναι απόγευμα λόγω αλλαγής της ώρας και μας δίνει μία αίσθηση πιο ευχάριστη, ας το πούμε. Και ήθελα να δεν θα σας πω τίποτε για την Ελληνική Ένωση Διαμεσολαβητών, διότι όσοι είστε εδώ, από όλα τα ονόματα που έχουμε δει, είστε οι πιστοί συνάδελφοι που είστε κάθε φορά μαζί μας. Συνεπώς γνωρίζετε την Ελληνική Ένωση Διαμεσολαβητών, γνωρίζετε και τον ΟΠΕΜΕΔ. Εγώ σήμερα θα ήθελα να σας πω, απλά να σας ενημερώσω για κάτι που σας είχα πει και σε προηγούμενη διάλεξη, ότι η Ελληνική Ένωση Διαμεσολαβητών σκοπεύουμε να αρχίσουμε, και αυτό αρχίζει πλέον να μορφοποιείται, να λαμβάνει μορφή και σχήμα στη σκέψη μας. Σκοπεύουμε από το φθινόπωρο, από τον Σεπτέμβριο, είναι νωρίς, αλλά δεν είναι ποτέ νωρίς για να κάνουμε κάτι καλό. Γι' αυτό είναι καλό να το ανακοινώσουμε από τώρα. Σκοπεύουμε να κάνουμε εργαστήρια προσομοιώσεων διαμεσολάβησης. Με όλη την αγάπη που έχω σε όλους σας, προηγούνται τα μέλη της Ένωσης, τα οποία θα ερωτηθούν εάν θέλουν να συμμετάσχουν. Αυτή τη στιγμή, σε αυτήν την φάση, χρειαζόμαστε 20 άτομα για να κάνουμε τα εργαστήρια αυτά. Συνήθως είναι 5 άτομα για κάθε προσομοίωση. Λοιπόν, θα ξεκινήσουμε με 20 άτομα. Εάν δεν δηλώσουν 20 μέλη της Ένωσης, στην επόμενη διάλεξη, το αργότερο στην μεθεπόμενη, θα σας πω πόσοι έχουν δηλώσει και πόσες θέσεις υπάρχουν ακόμη και θα μπορέσετε να δηλώσετε κι εσείς. Βέβαια, θα με ευχαριστήσει προσωπικά και είμαι σίγουρη και τα υπόλοιπα μέλη του Διοικητικού Συμβουλίου θα χαρούν, εάν δηλώσετε από τώρα όσοι θέλετε και όσοι ενδιαφέρεστε για να συμμετέχετε σε αυτά τα εργαστήρια διαμεσολάβησης, δηλώστε το από τώρα, στέλνοντας ένα email στο email της Ένωσης, για να έχουμε υπόψη μας ήδη να ξέρουμε ποιοι από εσάς θέλετε να συμμετέχετε, έστω και αν δεν είστε μέλη της Ένωσης. Αυτό είναι το βασικό νέο το οποίο ήθελα να σας ανακοινώσω και να σας πω ότι τα εργαστήρια εν ώψη της χαλάρωσης των μέτρων τώρα, τα εργαστήρια αυτά θα γίνονται κάποιες φορές στην αίθουσα στο Δημαρχείο της Κηφισιάς, την οποία μας παραχωρεί, στην πύλη δηλαδή της Ένωσης, που έχει ανοίξει η Ένωση στο Δημαρχείο της Κηφισιάς, και άλλες φορές πάλι θα γίνονται στα γραφεία της Ένωσης στο κέντρο της Αθήνας, κοντά στο Καλιμάρμαρο στάδιο, και άλλες φορές θα γίνονται διαδικτυακά. Θα συναννοούμεθα και θα βλέπουμε τι θέλει η πλειοψηφία των συμμετεχόντων για να δούμε πώς θα κινούμεθα. Αυτά λοιπόν, και ας ασχοληθούμε τώρα με την διάλεξη τη σημερινή, την οποία θα μας παρουσιάσει ο κύριος Rahim Shamji, ο οποίος, όπως σας είπα, είναι διεθνούς φήμης διαμεσολαβητής, εκπαιδευτής διαμεσολαβητών, είναι διευθύνων σύμβουλος και ιδρυτής του ADR και του ODR, που είναι ίσως ο μεγαλύτερος οργανισμός και σε κάθε περίπτωση ένας από τους μεγαλύτερους οργανισμούς παγκοσμίως που παρέχουν υπηρεσίες διαμεσολάβησης. Ο Rahim είναι expert, μπορώ να πω, στην διαδικτυακή διαμεσολάβηση και γενικά στην διαδικτυακή διεξαγωγή των εναλλακτικών τρόπων επίλυσης διαφορών. Συνεπώς, σήμερα έχουμε κάθε λόγο για να τον ακούσουμε πάρα πολύ προσεκτικά και για να τον ρωτήσουμε και όποιοι ενδιαφερόμαστε για περαιτέρω εκπαίδευση. Από το 2012 ο Rahim δουλεύει στην Ινδία και έχει συνεχώς σκέψεις εξέλιξης σχετικά με την επίλυση των διαφορών. Ο Rahim πιστεύει και αισθάνεται απόλυτα ότι το μέλλον είναι στην διαδικτυακή επίλυση των διαφορών και κατ' επέκταση σε εκείνους οι οποίοι θα εξειδικευτούν σε αυτή την παροχή υπηρεσιών εναλλακτικής επίλυσης διαφορών. Rahim, welcome again. Again, thank you. And now you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kotsaki, and kalispera to everyone here today. I'm delighted to be back virtually in Greece. Many of you will know that Greece is like a second home for me, and I'm so happy to see so many familiar faces on the Zoom call today as well. So delighted and a pleasure to be with you, and my thanks to the Hellenic Mediators Association for inviting me to speak to you. And I will try and share some thoughts, and I look forward to some dialogue with all of you as well. So with that, I would like to share my screen and slides. So I'll just try and get them online. So you should be able to see my screen, and I'll just put the slideshow on. Yeah, great. And really what I wanted to talk about, and has been a theme for me and for ADR International, and many of you will know my colleague Zoe Yiannopoulou in Thessaloniki, we have been advocating this idea of a DDRS, a digital dispute resolution specialist, with step one being online mediation. And what I'd like to do in this few minutes is to start to share with you some of the thoughts as to how we predict what the future will hold, especially since the pandemic has hit the world, and what we can try and learn from this, and why it's going to be very important to become more and more digitally competent. Now, you all know me. I'm the founder and CEO of ADR International. I am a DDRS. I'm a mediator. I do arbitration, negotiation, and online dispute resolution, in addition to being a barrister in chambers in London. So really, this is the crux of how do you become one, and why did we do what we did. And if you haven't had a chance, I would urge you to look at the ADR International YouTube channel, where we launched the qualification of DDRS in December 2020. And we had 3 speakers, and I know many of those speakers you have already had on your Monday night presentations. One was Colin Rule, who you had a little while ago. You had Zoe Yiannopoulou, and we had Lucas Mistelis, who is a Greek professor, but working at Queen Mary University in London, who talked about the idea of a DDRS. And it's a great presentation, very detailed, quite academic as well, and I would urge you to look at that. But really, we're going to try and focus on why this becomes very important now, but in particular, why online mediation also is important. So let's think about what is a DDRS, what are the benefits of doing so, why DDRS should be the norm, and why online mediation is the first step in your journey to ensuring that you are ready for this. Now, quite simply, what we define DDRS, and we have trademarked the letters DDRS. So it's a title that you can receive from ADR International, is you are a digital dispute resolution specialist who is good at negotiation, mediation, arbitration, and litigation. And you can handle all of these in an online world. And I know that you have had to do the same, but if we look around the world during the pandemic, what the COVID pandemic has done has accelerated the rate of change that would have taken 10 to 15 years. It happened in less than 9 months. It happened in less than 9 months. We have courts, hearings, arbitrations, mediations, negotiations, all happening online with people and using software and technology without the need to be in the same room. So what are the skills that we are looking at when you are looking at the idea of a DDRS? You need digital skills, but you also need to understand digital process. Because one of the fundamental challenges that people tell me when they're training online to be a mediator is they say, Rahim, it's not the same. Rahim, it's not the same because when you're in the same room, the whole energy is different. You know, you can feel their breathing, you can see the emotions, you can see the body language. If they're upset, I can pour them a glass of water. I can give them a tissue if they're crying. You know, you can't do the same things that you do when you are in a room with parties. And here's the problem with that statement. The problem is that you are comparing apples and oranges. You are comparing apples and oranges. This is not the same. It's different. You cannot benchmark an apple versus an orange. Yes, there might be both fruit, but they're totally different kinds of fruit. And so online mediation is not something that you compare to in-person, face-to-face mediation. It's a totally different way of thinking. And if I take you back to online shopping, when it started many years ago, there were people who loved it and hated it. And the ones that hated it said, well, you can't pick the clothes, you can't try the clothes, you can't pick the fruit, you can't pick the vegetables, so I don't know what's coming. The problem is you can't compare it. And what do we have now? We have both. Most of us will do online, and most of us will go in the shop when we want to. And there are horses for courses, as we say in English. And so there's different ways of looking at this. So comparisons directly is not the right way forward. Now, that still brings challenges to those of us that are used to doing mediation in person, in a room, to the online world, and particularly looking at the whole wider DDRS. So let's examine that. So remember, skills are one thing, process is another thing. We have to think of a different way of processing the same data. Now, I think we all would agree with many of the points that are on my slide right now. What are the benefits of digitalization? Well, clearly, more access to justice. And I'd like to bring to your attention, if you are not aware of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals that are agreed by the UN a few years ago. They categorically talk about access to justice. And they say that that does not mean going to a courtroom. Does not mean going to a courtroom. Giving people the chance to even air their concerns, voice their concerns, this is going to be the future. Young people, they don't know anything different. And we're going to look at that in more detail. Demographics, people that live in the cities versus the people that live in the rural parts of a country, or people that live in mountain societies, people that live in farms, people that live in non-urban areas, people that don't have access to the cities as quickly as we'd like them to. People with disabilities who otherwise would be completely marginalized from engaging in a justice process, all of a sudden have a voice, all of a sudden have access. Efficiency. I mean, this is incredible. We are together, yet we're not together. I haven't taken a flight There's no carbon footprint for me. I'm on an online computer, you're online. This is incredible. The efficiency of what is happening. And when we finish this session, you will all go home in 5 minutes and have dinner with your families, and life will be very easy to get on with. Costs. The cost of online work, online digital dispute resolution will be driven down more and more. Now, great for the user, not great for the deliverer. So mediators and lawyers and arbitrators, we will expect to earn less because costs will go down. However, it won't go down so much that it makes the process useless to do. But ultimately, if you're looking around the world, the digital world, this is about people revolution, not about an industry revolution. It's not about the lawyers, it's not about the mediators. It is ultimately about the people, the citizens. And then the final thing is this incredible idea of instant decision-making, right? Whether you are having a low-cost, low-claims mediation, whether you're having a mediation about hotel reviews and restaurant reviews, whether you're having a mediation about a multi-million-dollar big deal, all of this means we can get things done quickly. Business can go back to working hard. People don't waste time. So I think we would agree with many of these, but I would look forward to your questions if you disagree. Now, 2001 was a revolutionary time because this paper by a chap called Mark Prensky was around. And if you haven't seen the paper, I have a link in a moment, I'll put it in the chat. Now, Mark Prensky wrote a paper called Digital Native versus Digital Immigrant. This is in 2001. Remember, the smartphone was not out. The most that we had was laptops, computers, and video games. And in this paper, Mark talks about this idea that there are people in the world that only know digital in 2001. And he said the dividing line of whether you are digital native versus digital immigrant is 1980. Now let's be honest, I'm putting my hand up, I'm pre-1980. I'm born before 1980. I'm sure some of you are also pre-1980. And the further you are away from 1980, the more likely you are to be less digital native. It doesn't mean you can't switch to become digital native, but generally that's the rule of thumb. Now, let's think about somebody born in 1981. If they're born in 1981, in 2021, they are 40 years old, okay? And these individuals are decision makers. They work in companies, they're lawyers, they're politicians, they're all sorts of people. And they have grown up in a world that says digital is normal. Digital is normal. And when you force this digital normal people to go non-digital, you will have resistance. You will have resistance because their clients, the people they represent, are also digital. And so we have to keep this in mind as an idea that there are less digital immigrants in the world now than they are digital natives. And this digitalization will become the new vocabulary. Digital, therefore, is not a choice. Digital is therefore not a choice. And you know, the whole legal education around the world is changing at a rapid pace, right? There are subjects that you can do at universities around the world around artificial intelligence and the law, artificial intelligence and ethics of law, morality of law. You know, these are really, really big challenges. And you will have read, we don't have to tell me, but you will have read papers around the world that people are looking at this idea of putting a chip in the back of your neck that will be linked to one of your main arteries, and it will know early on if you've got any problems in your body, and you can then send the data from your Apple Watch or your smartwatch to your doctor, and they'll know what's wrong with you in minutes. And where are we going with this technology is mind-blowing. That does not mean that the law, mediation, arbitration, or negotiation is going to be immune from this. So therefore, technology and ODR are not just going to become normal, they have become normal. But here's the big thing that I would like you to take away from today. There is a new vocabulary coming in the ODR world, and we call this digital empathy. Digital empathy. So when I'm with you and you're sad and you're not happy, I have non-digital ways of empathizing with you. I mirror my body language. I will pour you a glass of water. I'll make you a cup of tea. I will change my seating to be closer to you, maybe. I might hold your hand. You'll start to feel comfort, right? And the challenge is that when you go into an online room, it's not those same tools. Therefore, the vocabulary has to change completely to digital empathy. We behave differently. Now, just by a show of hands, those of you on the Zoom, how many of you send emojis on your WhatsApp or your text messages to each other? How many of you? Yeah? Sometimes you want to send a kiss, you'll have the yellow face blowing a heart or a kiss, or you have hearts in your eyes, or sad feeling, or happy feeling, yeah? Let me tell you, the digital natives, it's completely normal. They will meet for virtual coffees. They'll meet for virtual revision lessons. They will do things online that you and I are not used to doing. Therefore, if we don't speak that language, we will not be able to connect with them. Because the industry that we're in is moving. All right? And you only have to read books by Richard Susskind on the future of e-courts and justice, etc., is absolutely mind-blowing. We are going through a period of change that is just not fathomable. Now, the final one there, augmented dispute resolution. Augmented dispute resolution. I don't know if you know what that word means, augmented. It's about this hybrid nature of digital and virtual. Digital and virtual. So I'll give you an example. They're trialing in America these glasses that you put on, right? Those virtual reality glasses, VR, completely blocks your eyes. And you enter the courtroom. You enter a mediation. You enter an arbitration in your glasses. And you meet Rahim Shamji, who's sitting in his room, but he's got his glasses on, and he's the mediator, and you've got another party. They enter the room, and all these conversations take place in an augmented reality. You actually feel you're in a room talking to these people as if you could touch them. So it's not Zoom. It's not Zoom. It's literally being inside the room. And this just starts to change the entire feeling of where we're going. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a new reality that's very scary for many of us, but it's coming. And it's only a few years away. It's not decades away. It's a few years away. Are we ready for that? Have we got together the skills to be able to make that transition? And if you look at companies like IBM, their computer, Watson, the DeepMind computer, it can make contracts and documents for you in seconds that a lawyer would take hours to draft, and much better. There are no mistakes, it's perfect. How? It's a huge use of artificial intelligence and reading data. Data is going to be the new power tool for us. So just giving you an idea of digital is going to happen. It's a tsunami of digitalization, and we need to be really ready for this transition. So we talk about ODR. ODR is just a term that means any technology that we can use to resolve disputes. Any technology, platforms, online platforms, from using eBay, Amazon, etc., to then the Zoom platform that we are on, where we might have a virtual or real mediation. Now, this is one of Zoe's favorite terms that she tells me about. Technology becomes the fourth party. And this is a really interesting term. How do we understand this? How do we process this? You see, when we do real work as mediators, we have a venue. And the venue is simply holding us together, right? Just holding us together. But technology becomes literally the fourth party. It's not just a venue, it becomes an enabler. It enables the conversation. It enables the whiteboard. It enables the notes. It enables breakout rooms. It enables so much more, digital signatures, all these things that happen. This technology becomes a party to the process. So you don't just use it on the side, you embrace it into your process completely. So what's caused the rise of technology? Yeah, smartphones, complete game changer in the beginning, 2007, and we have never looked back. Voice recognition. I mean, this Amazon, Alexa, different boxes you can have in your room that you can talk to, echoes. Ask the weather, ask what's happening tomorrow. Remind me to buy milk. It's incredible. 4G, and now we have 5G on the way, and 5G is going to change everything. We have incredible Wi-Fi. Most of us are probably using Wi-Fi right now to connect on a computer. Virtual reality, augmented reality, and of course now COVID-19. As devastating as COVID-19 has been, and very sad that we are losing people around the world every second of the day, we're going to look back on this period as a total change in the future direction of this world. We're never going to look back. We're never going back. It has really moved us in a way that could not even have been dreamt about. I thought the pandemic would last 3 months, 15, 16 months on, and no sign of it going away. No sign of it going. The habitual change of human beings is so significant that it won't change quickly again. So, online mediation is the future. Yeah, that's the first step. If you are not ready for this, the other things I've talked about in DDRS become even more challenging for you. So, a key skill in your toolbox now has to be online mediation. And there are huge international opportunities that come from it. Huge international opportunities, because you don't have to travel for it. And you become accessible to parts of the world that you could never have thought that you would be able to mediate. Online mediation is standard. If you have trained with ADR, ODR International, whether it's in Greece or in any other part of the world or the 36 countries that we are operating in, you would be offered online training as standard. And it's a real choice. It's a really, really viable alternative. But it's not to be compared to face-to-face mediation. And more people are realizing it can be done. We don't need to put vast amounts of money traveling around the world, renting a big venue, etc. We'll still have them. I'm not saying we won't. And then, of course, this whole idea of digital empathy. How do we develop this toolbox of understanding how to communicate and how to show empathy in a digital way? So, as I summarize the conversation, Generation Z is here, okay? They are the people that are going to run the next few years. DDRS, not a choice anymore. It's going to be an essential component, in my opinion. Skill acquisition is essential. And this is the way I see it. If you don't move into the online space, within 3 to 5 years, you become like the old TVs, obsolete. You were great when you were there, but you are no longer valid to me. And you can't afford to become obsolete. Lifelong learning, unfortunately and fortunately, is the only way out. And we at ADR ODR International are very happy to join and get you to join the revolution. It's coming. It's coming like a tsunami. So that's my my main presentation. I'll stop sharing here, and I look forward to questions, and I see that Zoe's joined us as well. Hi, Zoe.
Κατερίνα, θα μιλήσεις?
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, we can hear.
Okay, good.
Κατερίνα, μας ακούς?
Σε μένα μιλάς, Σέργε?
Ναι, τελείωσε, δεν θα μιλήσεις.
Να μιλήσω, εγώ έθεσα και το ερώτημα πριν αρχίσουμε. As I said before, Mr. Shamji, what I would like to know is how to become a digital specialist.
Right.
Of
so,
course,
I mean,
first,
first sorry, please carry on. Please carry on. Finish your question.
First, we have obviously to become trained regarding online mediation. And after that,
indeed,
what is the next step after that?
So one of the things I would suggest you do to take more information in general is to visit ddrs.online, which is our website for the qualification and the service. But in summary, this is what you need to do. There is two parts to the qualification. Part one is to be a mediator and lawyer first, then mediator, and you've done your online mediation training with us or another organization that we respect. And that's what we call part one, part qualified. If you've done any arbitration training and or negotiation training, that becomes part two. And you may know that we run module one arbitration courses as well online. So you can take one of those, which gives you the title Associate Arbitrator. And we have a school of negotiation, which we run in Dubai every year. And our next negotiation program that Zoe and I will be running in Dubai is in November 21, 22, 23. And we already have some excellent interest in that program. So if you've done that course or an alternative course, which is a course recognized, you are now ready to be a DDRS. You will get the title DDRS to put after your name, and you will go on the panel, and you will be there forever. As long as you're a DDRS, you're on the page. So that's in a nutshell. Now, what we're also trying to do is to make sure that you are relevant to all the developments that take place in the world of digital dispute resolution. So we have many new, what I would call workshop sessions coming on different aspects of mediation online, arbitration online, litigation online, etc. And so this becomes a whole new ecosystem for you to engage in to become a DDRS. But in terms of qualifications, you're a lawyer, you're a mediator, you've done ODR, arbitration, and negotiation.
Can you please repeat the site, Rahim? ADR.
Yes, I'll put it in the chat for you as well.
Yes.
No, it's I'll share it for you. ddrs.online.
Yes, I have it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Super, super, super.
The future of dispute resolution.
May I ask something?
Yes, please.
So, in practical terms, very interesting, and many thanks for your presentation. I got into your site, which is very interesting indeed. From the practical viewpoint, let's assume that Ms. Kotsaki does a DDRS mediation. Okay, it's a long story to discuss, and I'm going to enter into about jurisdiction, applicable law, and so on. That a mediation takes place no matter what law, if any law, is applicable, assuming we do not care about the jurisdiction and so on. And then one tries to enforce it. You sign a settlement agreement under the DDRS rules, and then something happens, and exceptionally, we know that mediation is based on voluntary, has a voluntary basis. Both parties want to mediate and so on, and settle or not. If they settle, they decided to settle. However, things change, and then you try to enforce. Outside the Singapore Convention, how would you enforce a DDRS settlement agreement, mediation agreement?
Thank you, Dimitris. Good question. First of all, you don't want to get to the stage where there is a challenge on enforcement, because this should be part of the preparation of a mediation. So when we have international cases, be it because two parties are in one country, but they've chosen you to be the mediator in Greece, or be two parties in two different countries, this is the question that they should be asked very, very upfront as to how they wish to have enforcement done if there's a challenge. Now, although the applicable law that you're suggesting is not that important, it is important depending on how they want to enforce it. So what I'm suggesting to you is that you would always, in the settlement agreement, it would say that this agreement will either be registered with or submitted to, or it will remain under the jurisdiction of a country, a legal system. And so any breaches may go to those courts, etc. But the first thing you should be doing in an agreement is say, in the event of a breach, the parties will come back to mediation. And if they can't be settled, then the parties will go and enforce in any one jurisdiction. So applicable law is important, but you don't need to worry about that. That's the lawyer's job on international work to make sure they've got it right. What you're doing is bringing the parties together internationally and online to get the case resolved.
Okay, thank you. This was very much clarificatory. So I understand, therefore, that DDRS are not a set of rules by themselves. It is a platform that provides, that intermediates between mediators and parties, and provides the digital facility for the parties to mediate, such as any other platform. So it is a technical assistance to the parties to mediate, which presupposes their agreement on whether they would need enforcement and where to enforce, so that they choose the appropriate mediator. For example, Mrs. Kotsaki is chosen as a mediator, and Mrs. Kotsaki applies the Greek law on mediation to the parties that they've agreed to be subjected to that Greek law. And therefore, once this is at the preliminary preparatory stage decided and agreed, then it's clear and straightforward on what it may be done thereafter if enforcement is needed. Yes? Is my understanding correct?
Yes. The second part of your statement is absolutely correct. The first part of your statement needs a little bit of clarification. DDRS, first and foremost, is a title that we issue to successful graduates of our program or the equivalent programs, so that you can be shown to the world as a multidisciplinary digital specialist.
I see.
So that's the first thing we should be careful about, right? So if you've done a mediation course in Greece, which currently I think is what, 8 days or 9 days, you know, and you're fully accredited, that's stage one done. You then need to have the others, and we will give you the title of DDRS, which means you can show the world that you are highly competent in litigation, mediation, arbitration, online dispute resolution, and negotiation.
Okay, it's
right?
a kind
5 key areas.
of accreditation. Yes.
It's a form of accreditation. It's a diploma. We're giving a diploma in DDRS, and you get the title DDRS. So you could be Rahim Shamji, DDRS. Then the second thing we're doing on our platform is promoting those people that are DDRS around the world to companies and organizations to say, if you're looking for a specialist, digital specialist, and the case may have a mediation and an arbitration, or mediation and negotiation, or a variety of these aspects, these people are the people that you need to deal with your case. Because internationally, Dimitris, here's another one that's really important. There are many mediations that take place between two parties in two different parts of the world. But once they mediate, they don't use Singapore Convention. They convert the mediation settlement agreement into an arbitration award for enforcement under the New York Convention, because they feel that's much, much stronger, because there are more countries in the New York Convention right now than in the Singapore Convention. Now, how would you even know how to deal with that if you are not a DDRS? Because the DDRS, you would know about arbitration, you would know about mediation, et cetera, et cetera. So you would be competent to deal with these complex cases. Only yesterday, or day before yesterday, that the legal forum of the world announced that Singapore is the #1 center for international arbitration in Asia. Singapore is saying that we are not just an arbitration center, we are the global mediation arbitration center of the world. And yet not all the mediators and arbitrators are from Singapore. They're from all over the world. So this is where you become very attractive, because there could be Greek entities, there could be European entities that are involved in that kind of work and have a dispute. They may want to look at you as well. But as long as you are a specialist that can navigate that journey.
Okay, okay. And if I may, a last clarificatory question. Why want to choose DDRS organization instead of becoming accredited by any other institution, for example? What is that special, unique, differentiated element of your accreditation you provide to the trained mediators and so on, which is worthy of trying?
It's a good question. There is nobody else doing what we're doing.
Sorry?
It's as simple as that, right?
Sorry?
There is nobody else?
Yes.
Sorry, there is no other organization doing what we are doing.
Okay.
So we are specialists. We are specialists in mediation, arbitration, negotiation, online dispute resolution.
I see.
And so we are the only ones that can give you the title, which we have trademarked. These letters DDRS are ours now, to give you that title. So you have arbitration organizations, there are mediation organizations, there are negotiation organizations, but there's not somebody doing all of these on a global level. I mean, we are now in 36 different countries.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yeah, pleasure, pleasure. Thank you, Dimitris, for your questions.
I would like to ask you something which is similar to those who were talking before we start. Since you are in, I think you said 35 or 36 countries all around the world, what are the differences that you find to those countries in relation to their how can I say, the use of mediation and their different style and feelings against it?
One of the big things that those of you who have done the ADR/ODR course will know that we are very keen on teaching is the understanding of cross-cultural mediation. Understanding the differences in culture and understanding the difference between high context, low context, etc., and then seeing how you can apply those in the different parts of the world. So when I travel the world, whether it's Africa, Asia, Europe, South America, Middle East, you see huge similarities, you see huge challenges. The legal system is an influencer, people are an influencer, demographics are an influencer. I don't know if you know, let's take Africa as an example, okay? Africa as a continent has had imported in or exported, whichever way you see it, a legal system that doesn't work for its culture, okay? The African villages, the African tribes is all about dialogue. And yet they are forced to go to an adversarial common law system a majority of the time and fight. So mediation is doing very well because actually it goes to the core principles of African society. However, the challenge you have now is understanding that the average age of African citizens is 17. Do you hear that? The average age in Africa is 17. That tells you you have a huge number of people under the age of 20 who have smartphones, connected to the internet, living in the digital world. They are not going to accept waiting months and years to resolve disputes or go to court because A, you've taught them mediation, and B, you've given them the internet. The fastest growing place in the world for ODR, Sergio, is India. India has the most number of online dispute resolution platforms than anywhere in the world. It's phenomenal what's happening. It is serving a population of 1.4 billion people and the world. And the world. And so when we look at the influences of the next 50 years in digital, I'm afraid it's not Europe. I'm afraid it's not North America. It's going to be Africa and Asia. They are going to drive this change at a whole new level. And we need to move quickly. Not just for ourselves. You may say to me, oh, I'm at this part of my career, I don't need this training. It's not about that. It's not about you. It's about creating the culture within the Greek society so that it can compete in the coming years rather than just you individually. And all of you here, in my humble opinion, you love mediation. You're ambassadors of mediation. You have a responsibility to make sure that as a cultural phenomenon, Greek and Greek mediators in Greece as a country moves quickly enough. Otherwise, you get left behind. And then it's very difficult to catch up, as you know.
That's true. But if I understand it correctly, the Africa and India are in that status because they're actually what you told us digital native. It's, as you said, the average age is 17. What is the average age in India? It's similar to that.
Yeah, it's in the teens, 19, 20.
So this is exactly the answer.
I mean, it's mind blowing. Yeah, it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing. And these are young, solid people, right? We have to understand the opportunities and the threats of what we are practicing if we love it so much. You know, I was speaking to about 2 years ago. I was in Kenya, and I was speaking to a futurologist predicting the challenges in Kenya. And he said to me, the #1 challenge to pubs and bars in Kenya is Netflix.
Netflix.
Think about it. Yeah, because young people don't want to go out and drink now because it's much more comfortable to sit at home and watch Netflix. So how does the pub or the brewery that makes drinks now get your drinks into the house? Otherwise, you're out of business. And just like they are seeing the trends and the threats, we have to see the trends and the threats to mediation. And I know that, you know, in Greece, it's quite regulated to become a mediator, to register the agreement. I'm aware of the law, but that doesn't mean that it has to only be done inside Greece, right? And people can take their disputes outside of the Greek market too. They only have to keep it there if they want the law to enforce it. So you're looking at huge changes and challenges coming your way. And I think that this is why and I've been talking about DDRS for 4 or 5 years. And I think to young people who are becoming lawyers, you know, they have all these hopes of being an attorney for many years of their life. I say to them, guys, law's over. Law was last century. It's now about being a multidisciplinary digital specialist. Because Watson, IBM's computer, will draft your contracts for you, will draft your wills for you. Robots will advocate for you in court. We are in this very uncertain time, my friend.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Do you have any question? Anybody else?
Unfortunately, we cannot see the questions from Facebook.
Yes, because we don't have Facebook streaming.
Indeed, correct.
I failed in the first that you say the digital skills. I totally failed.
No, but let me explain to you. This is not an uncommon occurrance, right? This can happen, right?
It is the first time it happens throughout this. I think this is a.
I know. I've watched many of these. And I've watched many of these sessions. Yeah.
I hope it's the only. I don't know.
Yeah. No, but you know, this will be the new reality, right? Things will happen like this, and we have to accept that. There are limitations, but incredible that we can still connect. Because had you invited me to Greece and I couldn't have flown, then we didn't have technology. We wouldn't have had the talk in the first place. So this is really going to be a very scary time in the next 4 or 5 years, but also a very exciting time. And if I leave you with one thought, don't fight change, embrace the change. Don't fight the change, embrace it. If you fight it, you will be left out. If you embrace it, hopefully you will all swim together in the same direction.
So if you see change as an opponent, we can use the martial arts rule and use their power. Yeah.
It's be in the game. Don't be against the game. It's easier said than done, but and sometimes we have to really think about what can be achieved with this. But how many of you did click and collect in Greece? I know you had a lot of click and collect during the pandemic, right? We had to do it. What choice did you have? And actually, some of you are like, well, it's not too bad. I can do this. And I think that's the attitude. Once you try it, you realize it's not that bad.
May I ask something?
Please.
You said that robots will advocate for us in court. Can you describe this session in court, which is a little bit scary, I think?
So I know of 2 universities in the US that are doing this, and they're basically training robots in making presentations and responding to questions. And you know, it's not that far off that this is going to happen, right? You will have automated robots making presentations for you in the courtroom. Judges will respond. Maybe the judge will be a robot, and then there'll be an outcome, and you will just have to sign on the computer screen, and it's done. Judgment accepted.
Yes, but we will have to prepare the documents and the briefs, correct?
No, because it'll be so. I don't know if you've heard of Colin Rule when you had him on. He
Yes.
When he was CEO of Modron, he was working with the Dutch government in Holland about creating a divorce platform. I don't know if you know about this divorce platform. It's a very, very smart divorce platform. Now, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you see it, it didn't become public straight away. But what they did was, you go on a page, you want a divorce, you type your name in, all your details, and at the bottom it says, does your partner or your spouse know you are looking for a divorce? And you say yes or no. And whether you answer yes or you answer no, it would suggest text that you can send to the partner to say, I want a divorce. Then the partner fills in the form. And when the data is inputted, the computer tells you, you have 1 house, 2 cars, a pool, children. This is how I think you should divide it. And if you accepted it, the government of Holland, Netherlands, would give you a divorce online. You put the data in, the documents are prepared automatically. So you won't need to prepare the brief as a lawyer. You will just have a robot lawyer who will do everything for you. It's like self-driving cars. How many of you thought you'd see a car that would self-drive? Scary thought, but it's happening all over the world. Here in the UK, they're about to make it legal in the next 2 months. I mean, it's crazy, right? You'll sit in the car, you'll be by the steering wheel, but the car will drive itself. Some of us will be scared as hell if the car will brake, if the car will turn left, if it will turn right. Guess what? It's safer than you driving. And if you've flown in an aeroplane, which I know many of you will have, what does a pilot do? What does a pilot do? It's all automatic. London trains in the underground, the driver does nothing. They open doors, they close doors, the train moves. I mean, this is where we are. We're in a completely automated world. And it's scary for the world because people don't have the skills, right? They don't have the skills, but that's where we're going. And so let's not assume for a moment that the legal profession, mediation profession, arbitration profession is immune from this. Not at all. And remember, your users are digital natives and they are decision makers now. They will decide how they want to do things.
Very impressive.
Christina has raised her hand. Hi, Christina. How are you?
Oh, fine. Thank you, Rahim. Thank you. Every time I listen to you, I feel, well, especially today, I feel like I'm a Flintstone. You always push us forward, and the information you give us every time is so new, so at the fast forward mode. And I think this is why the ones that we are participating today are quite so, we are so quiet, because I think we feel speechless from everything, all the information you give us. It is so fast forward, so advanced, so, and I don't know, we might feel that, how can I catch up and tune into that? Thank you for doing this. Thank you for giving, giving us all this information.
Thank you, thank you. Look, I'm not a digital native, right? Remember that. I'm pre 1980 as well by many years, but I realized this. In fact, it was a conversation. I know Zoe's doing two things right now, but 2015, you remember the European Directive on Consumer Disputes was coming into force. And the EU was talking about ODR and a platform. And it was that moment I said, we're not ready for this. These guys are talking a different language. We're all sitting here like we're going to meet and have coffee and have meetings. The world is moving. 2014, Zoom was born. I have a Zoom account from 2014. It's going crazy. Absolutely crazy. I mean, you don't quite understand where we're going. So, Christina, it's okay to feel like it's a lot of information and I'm behind, but it doesn't take a lot to catch up. It doesn't. You don't have to go and invest in technology and buy lots of products at all. It really is getting some skills and understanding how your skills can benefit you and your practice. And by the way, I love the Flintstones. So one of my favorite programs watching growing up, right? I would wish if there was a car that I could use my feet to pedal, right? Still. But you know, I have an electric car right now. And I'm telling you now, I cannot, my dad is a mechanic. He cannot believe this car has no engine, right? There's no engine in the car. It moves with battery. Just like you charge your mobile phone, you charge a car. I mean, this is crazy. This is crazy, but it's happened. It's happened and it will keep happening. And so as much as it seems really overwhelming, I think there's only one answer. Go get ready for it. And it's not late, by the way. The train hasn't left the station at all. The train hasn't left the station. In fact, what has happened is that we have bought some time with the COVID pandemic to now realize that when we come out of this in the next 9-12 months, there will be what we call the new normal. And in that new normal, we will do both. And slowly, we won't do both. We have some time. We have time to catch up. And if you have children, you know, I have a 6-year-old. I mean, what they do using iPads and computers and stuff, it's mind-blowing. My son was trying to turn the TV on thinking it's a TV is an iPad. It's not an iPad, it's got a remote control. He talks to it. Voice activation, you know, I mean, it's crazy. So mediation-wise, I think there's going to be some real opportunity for us to do some incredible things. And I would urge you to get qualified and make sure that you're ready. And if you don't have any questions now, it's fine. If you have anything afterwards, I'm more than happy to speak to you or respond to you on email, etc. But yeah, I hope you found it interesting enough that has inspired you to think about things differently.
It was very, very interesting indeed.
Can I ask something? Sorry. Kalliopi to Michelaki. Hello, Rahim.
Hi, Calliope.
I don't have a camera because I'm at home, but every time I'm also hearing you. Sorry, Χριστός Ανέστη σε όλους, καταρχήν. Να είμαστε όλοι καλά με υγεία. To have health and go on with our lives, because this is so important. Be healthy and very blessed for living in this life. So I'm very glad, Rahim, you are good, you are healthy, you go on with nice thinkings and very, let's say, promoted to us, because you know you love Greece, as I understand, and we have another way of thinking of everything, because we're very sentimental. We want to express our feelings to each other. We're not just we have to do one or this. We want to express our feelings, and our clients and every people, every human being in the mid-ages want to speak, to see each other. And this is why COVID-19, it was very, very difficult and very, let's say, make us feel so bad, because we want to go to churches, we want to express feelings. So the question really, after I'm hearing you very carefully, is how the mediators, let's say the new mediators, because if you are longer mediator, you can, you have seen many things more than the new ones, the new mediators. How the Greek mediators, I am asking you to think, we can express this, the way, how we can express our feelings in digital icon. Is there something special thing that after the lessons and after, if we go on with DDRS, we can make it as our own feeling, to express the feelings we have inside us to others, to other nations, to other people we don't know how they feel or express their civilization. There is something very particular idea, something that we can learn it, to express it by digital, by icon and virtual, let's say, reality. If we go on with DDRS, you can make us learn it, to express it by the icon. This is the one I want to know, because the feeling is very, very important for the mediator to pass it to the parts. So I don't know if we can have the ability to do it. Greek mediators, I think. Okay, I specialize with us, because you know us in Greece very good.
I do. I know you very well, and I know how much it's important to be with each other.
Yeah.
And
because this is very, as I see from my little experience through COVID, I have many colleagues that I tell them about make mediators, make the mediation through icon, and they told me, oh, Calliope, well, I prefer to come to your office and tell our clients that this is 1, 2, 3, 4. And I tell them, we can't meet each other because we have COVID-19. And there are many middle-aged colleagues that they say, no, I want to come to your office to see you, because I want you, my my clients wants to understand. They wouldn't understand inside virtual and icon mediation. How can we learn it? This is my problem. This is I want to find a solution for this, because it's not easy, I think. I don't know the other colleagues, how they, Mrs. Koltsaki and Christina and everyone else, but this is makes me feel uncomfortable for this. How can I learn it?
Yes. It's a really good question, and it's a challenge that is not just unique to Greece. It's a challenge that's happening in many parts of the world, where people are resistant to the move because they feel that the clients want to be in this, informal, personal, close setting. I think what I'm trying to explain in my presentation is, yes, there are those that want to sit with you and they will want to continue doing that, whether it's now or in 1 year or in 5 years. What I'm suggesting is there's a whole group of people that are not in that middle-aged or older category that will say to you, but there's no need to meet. I'm completely comfortable being online. And how will you capture that market? And how will you then convince them that you, as a mediator, are relevant to them? You're relevant to the people that you have been working with in that other way, but how will you remain relevant in this way? And I know that Greece has a generally older population than Africa and India, right? You've got a lot of older people, more retired people. It's a different, and sadly, you've had a brain drain. Many of your young professionals have left the country for many reasons, including more prospects, economic, otherwise. But that doesn't mean the digital revolution is going to stop for Greece.
Of course.
The digital revolution is going to come as quick as it can come. And what I'm saying to you is, you need to have two strong tools in the toolbox. Continue having your in-person live mediations and the ability to offer strong and sincere digital mediations. And by the way, COVID, just because the economy is opening next week in Greece, doesn't mean the COVID pandemic is over.
Of course, yes.
And the WHO is now going to declare the pandemic an endemic. It'll become an endemic. It'll just be, we'll live with this forever now. We won't report the number of infections every day, and we won't report the number of deaths every day, but it will be just like cancer, just like flu, just like heart disease, another thing that we have. And people will not feel as comfortable being together as we once did for many months to come. That's a reality, unfortunately. Not, traveling on an airplane, you'll wear a mask now. It won't be compulsory. You'll just feel more comfortable, right? Okay. You'll have hand sanitizers everywhere. And so what I'm saying is that these changes, including the digital changes, will come so under the radar, but become part of everyday life, that if we're not trained and ready, we'll be left behind. We will become the Flintstone on the situation. So Calliope, you make a very valid point, and it comes through embracing the change, retraining, understanding what that opportunity is, and making it yours as part of your everyday practice.
So Rahim, you mean that by DDRS or any other organization learn us, the mediators, to act in this virtual reality, how to act. Yeah. This is the point, okay?
Indeed.
Okay, thank you. And how many hours is this, let's say, seminar? Or this?
So you're an accredited mediator, so that's one box ticked. You're a lawyer, that's 2 boxes ticked.
Okay.
So you need the an online mediation training course,
Okay.
which we run in Greek and in English, and Zoe runs the ones in Greece. And I know many of you here have done that training already with Zoe. And then you need to take the arbitration course, which is 2.5 days, and the negotiation course in Dubai, which is another 2.5 days. And then you don't have to do them all at once. You know, take your time building them up, but make sure that you're on the journey. The challenge is not to go and spend all the money in one go and say, right, tick, 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 tick. And it's more about you ticking the box, but learning and internalizing the skills and the opportunity so that you are ready for this transition.
Little by little, you mean? We built it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like modules. You take the module, you take the next module, you take the next module, and you build it when you're ready.
We always learning. Okay, Rahim.
Yeah. And you know, let's see what the world brings us. But remember, there are lawyers coming out of the 3 top schools in Greece, Komotini and Thessaloniki and Aristotle and Athens, that are going to know 10 times more about all these topics than we know now.
Okay.
And in a few years, they will compete for the work that we have.
Okay.
They will compete for the work we have. And the question will be, are you relevant? And the answer will be, yes, I have wisdom and I have the digital skills. Only wisdom won't be enough. Only digital skills will not be enough. You need both. You need both.
Thank you very much, Rahim, for what you said and the way you say it. This is very important.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we don't have any other questions.
Μπορώ να ρωτήσω, Σέργη, εγώ ξανά η Καλλιόπη το Μιχελάκη, με την κυρία Κολσάκη, όχι του Ραχίμ, αν...
Κοτσάκη είναι.
Κοτσάκη, κάθε φορά κάνω λάθος.
Κάθε φορά κάνεις το ίδιο λάθος.
Κάνω το ίδιο λάθος, τέλος πάντων, θα την βαφτίσω. Λοιπόν, για αυτούς οι οποίοι είμαστε εκτός Αθηνών, για τα προγράμματα να μας πει όποτε μπορεί, μετά που θα απελευθερώσουμε το Ραχίμ, να μην τον...
Θα το δούμε μετά αυτό.
Οκ, εντάξει.
So,
can I ask something?
Yes, Maria. Hi.
Yes. Hi. Thank you very much for your presentation. You're always an inspiration for all of us. I have some thoughts about the present, not only about the past and the future. And I would like to ask you if there is any data referring to mediation globally during this period, the COVID period. Do we have any data? Yes.
No, there are studies right now that are focusing on this now, but their data isn't out yet. The data isn't out, but there will be. I think it will be out towards the end of the year. Anecdotally, we know that the data is there. In the UK, we have good data. We have some data from the US. We have data from Singapore, from other parts of Asia, but we don't have a global collection of that data. But I don't think it's far before this data is released.
Which country or which countries are, how can I say it, in front?
Oh, I mean, India is flying in digital stuff, and you know they have the infrastructure, and because of the pandemic now, but even before it was really bad there, online was moving in a whole amazing direction. Same with Singapore, Australia, New Zealand, UK, incredible work on online. Yeah, UK is flying. I mean, I think it was last August, you know, 4 months into the pandemic, the UK government announced that between 30 and 50% of all court buildings would be gone, because they would just do online hearings. And that tells you that the digital revolution is very deep. And online mediation kicked in within hours of the pandemic. And all my mediations, including I'm sure all of yours, are all online. And it's incredible. It works. It's fine. It does the job.
This is interesting. In my opinion, this is really interesting to see how it works.
So interestingly, the UK judges did not allow adjournments in cases where mediation could not be done in person, because they said, if court can be online, mediation can be online, go and get a mediation. And we were all mediating from end of March, April, May, June, July, all online. And it was crazy, and it's happening well. So, you know, but the data, I'm sure the data will come soon, and we will see some very, very interesting statistics.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Maria.
Κατερίνα.
Ναι, δεν άρχισα να μιλάω γιατί 8 φορές προσπάθησα, 8 φορές διακόπηκα.
Για καλό όμως.
Ορίστε.
Για καλό όμως.
Ναι, ναι, βέβαια, εννοείται. Rahim, I want to thank you very, very much. From my heart, I thank you for this very interesting, instructive, original presentation, which gave us many information about the future. Maybe we are more or less speechless, as Christina said, because we are very impressed about all this information you gave to us, but simultaneously, you allow us to think about the future and to think as something which is, as you said, coming very quickly. We still have time to catch the train, but we will have to start preparing ourselves rather soon, I think. Thank you very much again. And believe me, as far as I am concerned, at least, I'm quite sure that after some months, we will invite you again to ask you for a new presentation and to have the opportunity to inform you about the progress we have done based on what you have communicated to us. Thank you very much. Be well, all the best, and we look forward to see you again in Greece.